Hello, welcome to my channel. My name's Dawn, I'm the Reclusive Crafter, and today is Stash Busting Saturday. I am just using some bits and pieces out of my stash to put something into my ideas journal, because I have already done something similar to this for my Alice in Wonderland journal, and I liked it, so I thought I'd put the idea into my ideas journal as well. So it's kind of two birds with one stone today. And after I've shown you how to make this, I'll show you the one that I've put into my Alice in Wonderland journal, and you can see what you think. So again, with a lot of the stuff that I do, you can cut things to whatever size you want to. And for the purposes of today, I am going to be using a piece of paper 6.5 inches, so 16.5 centimeters in depth, and width-wise I'm doing 5 inches, which is just over 12.5 centimeters in width. So I've got one sheet that size. I have got a second sheet at 6.5 inches by 3 inches, so that's 7.5 centimeters by 16.5. And then I've got a third piece, which is 1.5 inches wide, and this one is 6.5 inches in depth as well. Okay, so those are the only 3 pieces that you're going to need. There is going to be some measuring involved, so be prepared for that, especially obviously with if you're sizing it up or sizing it down. I'm doing this to fit into an A4 size journal, so basically a folded A4, so an A5 journal, and I'll show you on the page when I've done it. All right, now I've also dug out a couple of little bit of embellishments because I'm going to need those for the design, and I've also just made myself a little tab to stick where that's going to go. All right, so let's get started. It's relatively easy. It's a really easy project. You just really need to follow the instructions more than anything. So this would be the front section, clearly, and that is the piece that would stick onto a page. So let me show you that. So for instance, that would stick onto your page like that, and when it's finished you can use it as a side tuck, a top tuck, a belly band, or you can just stick it flat to the page if that's your preference. Makes no odds. All right, so let me show you the construction of it and what it will turn out to be. So the first thing we need to do is we need to cut a hole in here, no more than 1 inch wide. Okay, this is actually 1.5 inches wide, so the hole doesn't want to be any more than 1 inch wide. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to measure on the back here where my center point is, and like I say, this is really easy to do. So I'm just measuring the center point. I've done it at this kind of size so that it just makes it easier for calculation purposes. Okay, I'm going to mark that down there like that. And this will just give me my cutting guide basically for my hole. All right, and now I want to go up about 1/2 inch from the base, so about there, and again 1/2 inch from the base, and I'm going to draw that line across those 2 sections there. All right, and I'm going to do exactly the same at the top. So we're going to come down 1/2 inch there, and we're going to come down 1/2 inch there. I'm sorry, I'm just wondering if I want to come down a little bit deeper than that. I think I will actually. I think I'm going to go down from the top by, I'm going to take the top down 3/4 of an inch. And like I say, this is why I'm saying that you can size these things up or size them down depending on your own requirements, but the basis of the design will remain as is. Okay, and I'm just going to line that across there. I'm doing it on the back because the marks on the paper won't make any difference. Okay, and now I'm just going to get a little cutting mat, and I am going to cut this section out. If I can find my knife, there it is. How are we all doing today? Are we all good? Now you're going to have to forgive me if my big head gets in the way here, but I just need to make sure that I am on the lines. I know I'm going to be at the bottom of the camera, so when you're doing something like this, it's always a good idea to take these lines out further than you need them, because it actually, when you've got your ruler over what you're cutting, it still shows you where you're cutting from and to. Okay. Now this bit of it needs to be as accurate as it can be, but do you know what? Don't lose sleep over it if you cut it bigger than it should be, or you go over the lines. Nobody's going to knock on your door and tell you that you've done it wrong. There we go. All right, and then we're going to cut this bit here. Ooh, helps if I cut the paper, not the ruler. Lucky it's a metal ruler. There we go. Okay, so what we've now ended up with is that with a big old hole in the middle. All right, so that's that bit done. Now what we're going to do is we're going to attach this to the back of this. All right, and it wants to be, now I'm going to, let me think, so that's actually quite a bit wider than I need it, which is fine. I'm going to measure where the centre is on that, which is 1.5. Okay, this is 1 inch wide, so it's actually 1.5 inches wide. I do apologise. So this actually needs to be, so the glue needs to be at least 1/4 of an inch, or maybe 1/8 of an inch wider than this is. Okay, so I want to be gluing that, and this is where you need to get it relatively okay. So I want to be gluing this, so that's 1.5, 1.25, so that's there. So I want to be gluing that there and there. All right, and I'm just going to put some guidelines down on that so that I know where I'm gluing, because we need to make sure that this can slide in and out. All will become clear. All right, so I'm just popping some lines down there, like I say, so that I know where I'm gluing. I'm just going to turn that round so I can, I'm just eyeballing this for straightness. There we go. And now we do not want to be putting glue across the top of this, but we do want to be putting glue across the bottom. Now I allowed 1/2 inch there, so I'm only going to be gluing about 1/4 of an inch up, which is there. Okay, so I'm going to just do that line in there. All right, so now I'm going to put glue down this line here, across here, and down there, and I'm also going to be gluing around the whole of the outside. Okay, so I'm using my new glue gun, so bear with me. I'm not you. Ooh, and it's gloopy. Okay, I don't like that. There we go. Right then, let's just bring that down there. Like, it doesn't need to be completely accurate, okay? Just as long as it's near the line. It doesn't have to be exactly on it, but you don't want glue inside the line. All right. I'm just gluing that all the way around, like so. Okay, just bear with me while I just pop my glue into its little holder. Right, now because I don't want the glue on this part of it, I'm going to just wipe that down so that it doesn't splurge when I, technical term, when I attach it to the page, okay? Like I say, I just want to make sure that it doesn't go over that line. It can be as gloopy as it wants to this side of the line, but just not over it. All right, there we go. And now what we're going to do is we're going to turn that over. Nope. Oh, rats, I've put the glue on the wrong side. Doesn't matter. It's only for show purposes. And I'm going to pop that on there, pretty much midway. There we go. All right. And then you've got one section of it that's actually open there. Okay. Give it a good press down. Trim any bits up that need to be trimmed up. All right. And now this bit will slide in and out there. Okay. So it doesn't really matter that that's not right. The only thing is when you pull that up, of course, you've got the white section there because I've put that on the wrong way around. But if you'd put it on the correct way, you'd have this design through the window. All right, but we won't worry about that, just for the purposes of showing you how to go about it. All right, and then what we want to do is we want to put our little design on. Okay, so I'm going to pop a little bit of glue just around here, down across the bottom and just around there, because what we don't want to what we don't want to do is glue it inside there. All right, so I'm going to pop that on there like so. Okay, and I'm going to pop a little bit of glue just across there and just across there, just to hold that in place as well. Okay, I'm going to glue the handle as well because that doesn't need to be sticking up. Right, so that's the teapot in place. All right, what we want to do now is to we want to pop. Are you going to fit in there? You're not, are you? Okay, let me just widen that pocket just a little bit. There and there. Okay. You're going to pop in there now. You are. Lovely. Okay. So now I want to position the butterfly. And I'm just going to mark where I want to stick him down. So I want one wing there and one wing there. Okay, so you can see I've just marked that where the butterfly needs to go. Okay. And we're going to pop the butterfly on there. Okay, so we're going to glue him onto there. like so. Okay, and we're going to slip him down into the little pocket. It does help if it's, there we go. Okay, and I'm going to pop on the little, what is this, tab? I'm going to pop on the tab. And now we're going to glue the rest of this down. Like so. Squish that together. Okay, and now we're just going to pop that down into place. Okay, just making sure it's firmly down. All right, so basically that's the principle of the idea. So you've got literally 3 little bits of paper, can be scrap paper, can be whatever you want, and you can embellish it however you want to. That then would stick on your page there, and like I say, you can use it as a side tuck. You can trim the corners if you choose to do so. So if I just trim these corners up, make it look very pretty. There we go. Lovely jubbly. That's those done. And we can ink it up. You can do whatever you want to with it. Just a little bit of ink around the edges, like so. And then that can go on your page there. I'm going to put this on as a little side tuck. So all I'm going to do is run a little bit of glue across the top there, a little bit of glue down the side there, and a little bit of glue across the bottom there. Okay, I'm going to pop that on my page, and that's one of my ideas done. Okay, so I've got something else in my ideas book now. Yay me. There we go. Okay, so now that I've got a little side tuck there, just wait for that to stick down a little bit. I've got a little side tuck there. You could, if you want to, put a little thumb notch in there. But what you've got is a rather cute little butterfly that's flying in and out of the cup, which is cute, isn't it? That's so lovely. Okay, so that's the idea. Very simple. Let me show you what I've done with my Alice journal up till now. So you may recall I was doing the edges. So the edges are all finished now. So I've put this shiny tape on the edges, or some of the edges, not all of them. And then I've just gone through, and on the digital pages, I've just added a bit of lace to give it that extra width. So now all of the pages are roughly the same width. Okay, so that's what I've done up till now, and I would like to show you what I did with my little slide pocket that I've just done. And we're going to come over the page and come over the page and come over the page, and here she is. So this is little Alice falling down the hole, and look, how fantastic is that? That's so cute. I am so chuffed with this one. So I've designed this. Let me take this apart so that you can have a good look at it. So it says here, and down she fell, down to the centre of the world it seemed, which is what it says there. But obviously with the way I've got the journal, you can't see that page, so that's covered, so it's on there. The page itself is exactly as it was in the book, with the exception of Alice. Alice was positioned about there on the page, but what she does do now is she falls down the hole. So you've got the page underneath, as you can see there, and Alice just falls down the hole. Or she does when she's on a flat surface and I can push it. There we go. So there we go. That's little Alice. I just love that. And these little slide pockets or slide things, you can do it with any design. I mean, I just literally threw that cup and butterfly together very quickly just to show you how to do it. It took me a while to fathom this one out because I was lining everything up and making sure that it was all as it should be for the page. I wanted the page to be right. And what I've also done is I've left a beautiful pocket there to be able to insert a journal card. So a journal card will slot very nicely into there as well as part of the journal. So that's lovely. I just love this. I think this is lovely. So with Alice fighting the cards in the little box that I did in my last video, and now she's falling down the hole. I mean, how cute is that? Leave me a comment. Let me know what you think. I'm so delighted with this and delighted with how it's coming on. Absolutely love it. That's all I'm going to do for today. Really quick video. I hope you like the little pocket idea and the little slidey bit. And I will see you all for Mishmash Monday. So take care, everybody. Have a fabulous weekend. See you soon. Bye.